Hey everybody, welcome back to the Literary Gamers. I'm Matt the Dice Chucker, and you have been with me for the past 5 or 6 videos now, playing some solo games. And like I said before, I have not really played many solo games here and there, but not a huge lot. So this was a fairly new experience for me. So the 5 solo games that I put up on the poll were Trails of Tucana. Then we had the Dresden Files Cooperative Card Game. We had Fleet, the dice game. Caesar, the new Paolo Mori game. And this is going to bother me. I put the box on the wrong way. And then Dinosaur, Island, Rawr, and Right. Now, 20 of you voted to see what could be live streamed, and I appreciate so many of you for being patient with me as the live stream was going on. I scheduled it, and for some reason it wasn't letting me start it. I film with an iPad, which could be part of the reason why I don't have that ability to do any of that yet. But if you have any suggestions, let me know in the comments below, or you can reach out to me, theliterarygamers2@gmail.com, and give me some tips on how to do all this, because I really am enjoying playing these solo games. So the point of the video today, however, is to kind of give you a brief overview of my thoughts on the solo versus the multiplayer. So 20 of you voted, and thank you for doing so. And Tuesday, a poll went up with the next cycle of 5, and I'll talk about those at the end of the video. So we're going to start with the game that received the lowest amount of votes, and that is, to be seen played live, by the way, that is Trails of Tucana. Trails of Tucana is, if you didn't watch the video, a charming little flip and fill game where you flip 2 cards, and it has 2 different terrain types on it, and you have to draw a line between those terrain types on the map. We played Isla Petite, the small island side. We did not play Isla Grande. What are my pros for this? Well, sorry, the difference between the standard multiplayer and the solo is that instead of having 2 sets of objective cards out A and or it's either 1 and 2 or A and B, I can't remember. Instead of having that out, it's you just have the secondary set of objectives out. And after the first round of shuffling your cards, you shuffle what's left and you only deal out 2, and those are the only ones you can score. It gives you kind of a difficulty on the type of strategy you're taking. The solo, at least, you're kind of racing to try to reach your highest point potential with those cards, but they really aren't that high value in cards. And what are the big differences between this and multiplayer? Not much. Trails of Tucana, multiplayer and single player, are the same with the exception of trying to snag those objective cards. I would say that it is essentially the same game, with just that added feature of the erasure of some of the objectives mid-game. And that's my only con with Trails of Tucana as a solo game. I do think that it is a simple solo. So my pro and con both have to do with the solo mode, which is it's an engaging solo, but it's already a game that felt like a solo game. And then my downside is I wish there was more going on with the AI. Now, as a multiplayer, I gave this a 7.25. It's a game that we enjoy. By the way, a 7 is the threshold in our collection for whether or not it gets to stay. And Trails of Tucana has been with us for a little over a year. If you see it, I definitely recommend giving it a shot, because it does some things that, like usually when you see the roll and writes, the flip and fills, you're really sometimes they're overly complex for the sake of complexity's sake. This one is nice and simple, and like I said, I think it's charming. It plays in 15 minutes. I mean, so what kind of time are you losing if you say, oh, I really hated that game. Well, at least you didn't devote 5 to 6 hours to it. So Trails of Tucana, 7.25. I have no preference on this one, solo or multiplayer, because they're both the same, with the exception of those cards that are disappearing. Really fun game. So that is Trails of Tucana, 7.25. The next one we had 3 at 15%. So I'm just kind of going to go down the line. Dresden Files, the cooperative card game, another game that I put back incorrectly, and by that I mean the front of the box and the back of the box don't match. It bothers me. I know. All right, so the Dresden Files cooperative game. First off, if you have an attachment to the Dresden Files, I think this is something worth looking into. I've heard a lot of people who play this game and have read Dresden Files. Some say that they don't like certain aspects of the game, but can appreciate that it tried to do something a little different. So what's different about it? Well, really what it is you have this grid on the board that's the book, or you can create a thing of side jobs that you're playing through, and it has a range, and you're trying to play cards that help eliminate some of those cards and or use some of those cards, and the possibilities of not possibilities, but just kind of the puzzle that you see is very interesting. And you don't draw. At the end of your turn, you don't draw a card unless, of course, the game tells you through either an ability, or the game tells you through an advantage to draw some cards. And I think that's really interesting. Not sure I've seen that in another game. I'm not saying it doesn't exist in another game, because I'm sure there's going to be someone on the internet out there who's going to go, well, did you know, sir? Well, no, I'm not going to deal with that. So I'm just saying I haven't seen it in another game. So I really think that there's an interesting puzzle there, and it's really thematic. When you read the books and you play the game, there's always that sense of urgency. And the fact that the game can end if you can't play a card, if you don't have enough fate points to play a card, and or you just want to end it and see if you can beat the game. You're basically solving cases and defeating enemies. And if you've solved more cases than enemies that remain on the board, then you've won. So here's the con. The game comes with, and I'm going to hold them up to the camera. The game comes with fate dice. Fate dice are commonly used in many different RPGs. They're these dice here. They come with the positives, negatives, and there's even blank sides as well. So some cards tell you that there's a fate cost of 3, but then it has a little 2 in a white box. And so you roll the 2 dice, and then actually not a bad roll. So then it would only cost me, what did I say, 3? So then you subtract 1, so you only need to pay 2 fate to play that card. The possibility of doing this, however, is high. It's 30%. And in the Dresden Files card game, which I played incorrectly, and I do apologize for that, is that there is a, what do they call them? Not a disadvantage. What do they call them? I want to get it right. Obstacles. There's one in the first scenario that says all blanks are considered positives, and I missed that, so I am very sorry about that. But it definitely kind of ratcheted the difficulty of the game up because of a dice roll, and something that you can't really prepare a lot for, especially when you're on this timer. So my con with the Dresden Files cooperative game, at least on the solo end, is that those dice rolls can really mess you up. I love the idea in the solo mode of having 3 characters and you just go through the 3. In 2 players, you shuffle 2 characters together each. The problem I have with that version is that you might get 1 character's cards and that's it. And you never see another character's cards depending on how poorly you shuffle. But here in solo, you have the ability to do that. So in the 2-player game, I would give Dresden Files cooperative game around a 7.15, while I would give the solo mode a 7.5 because I had more freedom to kind of explore what I wanted to do. That being said, that's Dresden Files. If you have an attachment to the IP, I say it's worth checking out, especially if you live in Connecticut, because if you go to the Manchester Public Library, they should have a copy there for circulation, so you'd be able to check it out while checking out one of the books. All right. So that is Dresden Files Cooperative Game. Next is, I think, the heaviest game I played here, which was Fleet the Dice Game. This solo mode, I played against Captain Ruth, who is the name of the AI. I say that because if you can see right above my bald head, right there, 3 sisters just came in for us, and I'm going to be doing that one solo. It's part of one of the cycles, and that is Farmer Edith. So, Fleet the Dice Game solo, the captain has a number of tracks that she is moving along. There is the fishing, then there's the wharf, and then there's the harbor, and it kind of moves like a cycle on all of them. And those are the ones that she can move through. Now, in Fleet the Dice Game, there's a lot going on. You're making X's and boxes. She is making slashes. So when you have Ruth select a dice, you are going from the top down in the fish, and she is moving from the bottom up. And if ever they meet, then you're done on that track. With the wharf, it's the exact same way. And in the town, I think she can just fill up, I believe she just fills up boxes on you. So you can't get the points. This was a bit of a tricky game because there's also the thing is if she can't do something, she can't use a certain dice, she basically just slashes out your stars on on coins. So that can be nasty. This was an interesting game. It was challenging. I got somewhere in the middle of it, and I'm going to talk about one thing that 3 of these games did at the end of the video, which I'm not sure I like solo, but I understand why it's there. It was more of just a challenge trying to get around Captain Ruth instead. I can see some people getting really frustrated, especially if they want to just devote completely to a certain track that they've got, especially in fishing and getting all those boats out. But I found it to be fine. The solo worked very well. It wasn't overly complicated. So I would say that I would give Fleet, the dice game, the same score I give it with multiplayer, which is an 8, because Fleet the Dice Game, a lot like Trails of Tucana, feels like just another multiplayer game, because the only thing you really got going on with player interaction in multiplayer is the King Crab license bonus and then just the shared dice. With 2 players, it doesn't really hinder me that much. So that's Fleet the Dice Game. I still enjoyed it. It's backwards again. Why are all these game boxes backwards? I enjoyed it, and we enjoy the basic game we enjoy the basic game as well. So, enjoyable experience. All right, the last one that came in at 15% for the vote was Caesar. Seize Rome in 20 minutes. Caesar is Paolo Mori's new design from PSC Games. I'll do this so I'm staring at the right camera. This is the re-implementation of Blitzkrieg, which, spoiler alert, is on the next cycle. And it's got a map of the Mediterranean, and you're trying to spread out your influence. I really liked this game solo. It had a very challenging AI with a very easy to understand how it works mechanism. The only downside is I had to keep checking everywhere on the map for the list style of where the bit goes. And every time I thought, oh, I'm going to be going on number 6 out of 7 of the conditions, well, wait, let me ratchet it back a bit because it actually goes on number 3 or number 4. So it was definitely something I had to slow down, because when I played this game with Jen, it says seize Rome in 20 minutes. Sometimes we can get it done in 10, depending on if someone stops the other player from basically chaining out all the property and everything. But anyway, Caesar, fantastic game. I already gave it an 8.5. I think I would give it an 8.75 solo because I like how that AI works. But like I said, my only con with the AI, and it's a very small one, is just keeping track of how much we've got going on with all of that. So that is Caesar. Highly recommend. If you see it out there, snag a copy because it's another hit like Blitzkrieg is. So, and lastly, the game that we live streamed was Dinosaur Island Rawr and Right, which, surprise to no one, was also put away backwards. So let me get that straight here. Now, this falls under the large umbrella of Pandasaurus Games' Dinosaur World. I'm not going to, sorry, I didn't say that because Dinosaur World is one of the games. The Dinosaur Universe. The Dinoverse, okay? It's a Dinoverse of games. And this, I liked the Rawr and Write to begin with. It feels a lot more like a combination, for me at least, between Dinosaur World and Dinosaur Island, mainly because you are traveling along the roads and all that, trying to get to the park exits and make a decent dinosaur tours. You only get excitement once you go there once to an attraction. So it shares a lot with that, but it also shares a lot in the fact that you detail threat off of dice. The AI was solid here. It was simple. You flipped a card and it said which 2 dice get drafted onto which spots. So then you have to kind of make your way around that puzzle as well. Good game, good gameplay. Once again, it's your standard style of Euro game. You need to do everything, but you can't do everything. So you need to do some things and just kind of handle that. Dinosaur Island, I think, was an 8.25 in our collection. I think it remains an 8.25 as a solo mode. My only con is the score sheet. Now, what I mean by that is the back of the rulebook tells you how well you did based on your score. I think that's fine. I don't love that as far as telling me how well I did in a solo game. So, if you're looking at your solo mode, Caesar and Dresden basically saying you lose instead of this is your score, I like better because it's a challenge for me to figure out how to beat the game. And while I liked Rawr and Write, Fleet the Dice Game and Trails of Tucana, I just felt like I won all 3 times. I didn't lose against the game. I just won. And that, I think, is something that hopefully can be fixed with some of the future games here. But I'm looking at my list for next time now, and I'm not sure we're going to get that. So, all solid. If you're here looking for some negative reviews, I'm going to just be honest with you, you're not going to get it, mainly because I'm soloing games that are already in our collection, and these are games that we like. As I procure solo games, during this whole world of me playing solo games, I will be adding them or giving you more honest reviews there. And I say honest because everyone seems to think a negative review is an honest review, and not a review of a game somebody likes is honest. Don't get me started. But anyway. That is the list of 5. I like them all. I like some more than others. So that is our cycle of solo games. Now I want to announce a few things. The poll is up right now for the next cycle of 5. Now those games are Blitzkrieg. And I'm just going to play on the standard map. I'm not going to play on the Nippon expansion. So there's that. Oh, excuse me. Now this one, I'll talk about that one last. Dice Miner by Atlas Games. Oh, Blitzkrieg is PSC, by the way, Paulo Mori. Dice Miner is designed by Joshua Debonis and Nikola Rizteski. I'm very sorry for pronouncing your names incorrectly. Welcome to Benoit Turpin, and I'll also talk about that one a little bit afterwards. And then David Terzi and Nick Shaw's Roman Roll, and there is an expansion coming out for this very soon. So I'm excited to play through that stuff. Now, I'm going to close voting Thursday at 5. If Super Skill Pinball wins, and I have both here, and by the way, that's the last one. Sorry, I forgot to mention that. Or Welcome to wins, I'm going to create a flash poll. I'm going to give you the option of what map to play on or what pinball machine to play on. Okay? So I'm going to have a lot of polling going up here. Excuse me. So that's pretty much the next one. Polling closes Thursday at 5, and I will reopen the poll depending on what wins. So we can figure out if Welcome to wins or Super Skill Pinball wins, then we can figure out which map we want to do on that one. The map for Welcome to or the pinball machine for Super Skill Pinball. And I'm excited about both of them, just to kind of see. All right, now, the last thing I want to talk about is I didn't plan on this. I am going to be uploading some playthroughs of a game that came out yesterday but has been out for a long time. Now, my wife and I had played this game when we were first getting into gaming because we loved the Game of Thrones card game, the first edition when it came out. We had tried the Star Wars LCG when it came out. It was fine. I think, though, we really enjoyed and wanted to get more into the Lord of the Rings card game from Fantasy Flight. The reason we didn't is because by the time we got into this, we were already 3 years behind. And getting everything for it, a narrative game, 3 years behind, was impossible. We got some stuff, but it was beginning to be more difficult for us to make that work. That being said, Thursdays, I'm going to be uploading videos of myself playing through the stories. I'm going to try to do, they're going to be long videos. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do 4 games of the same story with the 4 different decks that are in the game. Some will be wins, some will be losses. I'm probably going to lose more than I win. So those are Thursdays. Those are going to go up. I'll have 3 videos for the 3 in there, and then you can all tell me what you'd like to see me run through with the campaign mode they have in this revised set. As more content for that comes out, I'm going to be filming more of it. I know that there's another set of decks coming out, and then another story deck with 2 scenarios on its way already. I've played this 5 times yesterday by itself. I like the revised edition. I understand not much has really changed, but it seems like they cleared up some of the text on the cards and have given you more options as far as how you want to run the story. So that's just something else I'll be planning. Like I said, I've been doing a lot of solo gaming here on the channel. I'm hoping to get Jen to do a video with me at some time soon, but we'll see. And that's all for me today. Like I said, the poll is already up for the next streaming ideas for the solo for this week. And we'll see you all next time, everybody. Bye.